Welcome back. We're going to be playing around with Dreamweaver. I have to say this video has been just a tad bit what I call snake bit because every time I try to do something it either locks up in Dreamweaver or I've had problems with the actual recorder, which has been kind of fascinating because it's just like everything I do is not working right. Well, what I want to do is I've opened up a file in Dreamweaver. It's called CSS Advanced. I believe this is the one that I did earlier in the semester for you. Well, what I want to do is one of the reasons we like Dreamweaver is it can be considered a content management system. And so what I want to be able to do is I'm going to turn this into a complete site. So just imagine that I had spent a lot of time working on the layout of this site. And then what I can do is I can turn this into um, a template which will help us crank out some site. So what I'm going to do first of all is I'm in live mode. I wanted to show you what it looks like. I'm having a little bit of problems down here with that. It should be inside the body tag, but I don't know why it's not, but we'll fix that later on. What I want to do now is I'm in live mode. I'm going to switch to design. The reason I wanted to show you in live first is because design looks nothing like live mode. So the design is supposed to be somewhat of an what we call what you see is what you get, but it really isn't. And that's why you have to jump back and forth to live mode and then actually previewing it in a browser. Well, what I'm going to do next is, first of all, I'm going to highlight some text right in here, and I'm going to go Insert, Template, Editable Region. And what it's going to do is it's going to convert this into a template, which is going to help us crank out some web pages fairly quickly. So I'm going to click on OK. And the editable region is, I'm going to call it subtitle, because that's essentially what it is. Click on OK. And then I'm going to highlight in here. I'm going to insert another editable region. I could do Control-Alt-V if I wanted to. And I'm going to call this left content. And then I'm going to have it down here. Insert, template, editable region. And I'm going to call this right content. So what I'm doing is I'm identifying for the program what areas I'm going to let people edit. So I don't want people to edit this, I don't want them to edit the navigation, and I don't want them to be able to edit the navigation down here, or the content information right there. So now I've created it. It's still in HTML format. I'm now going to go File, Save as Template. Okay, it doesn't like something that I'm doing. I'm going to call this new site is what the template's going to be. And I'm going to hit save. And then you want to update the links. It sounds like you don't, but you do. And what's happening is it's going to create a folder inside your space, and it's going to call it templates, and it's going to call it new site.template. So there, we've got it taken care of. Now that I've got my new site template, you want to close this. May sound kind of counterintuitive because I said I wanted to create a site, but I'm going to close it. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go File, New. And you want to create it new from a site template. And then you want to make sure that you use new site. And it kind of gives you a picture there. It's like, good. And then update page when template changes. That's important because what I'm going to do is I'm going to change some information later on, and it will allow me to do that. So I've got create. Now I'm going to go into split mode. And so the one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to say for this first page, I'm going to go, oh, got to go into design mode. Notice it won't let me change anything here. So I'm going to come up here and for the subtitle, and I'm going to call it Welcome to Playing with Dreamweaver, CSS, and HTML templates. And I probably should keep that consistent, so I should put those all caps. Oops. Now, this is going to be my first page, so I want it to be my home page, so I'm going to go File, Save, and it's going to ask me what I want to call it. I'm going to call it home.html. And so what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be following all these. So I'm going to create a page news.html, home.html, products, content. Well, what I'm going to do in here is with the left content, I'm just going to delete some of it. And then I'm going to go my home page. No, my home for this site. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight it. Now I've got the properties bar, and if you can't find your properties bar, what you can do is you can go Windows, Properties. But I already got it set up. I'm going to want it to be in H1, so it's nice and big. And same way with this, I'm just going to make some changes, just goofy changes. So I'm going to go, I am on the right. And then once again, I'm going to highlight this. Let's put an H2 in just for grins. So now I save it. Let's go here, look at live, and this is what it's going to look like. Good. Now, you can keep it open, but I found closing it is a lot nicer. But the one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to be lazy, and I'm going to see what the next name that I want to call it, which is going to be news.html. So I'm going to highlight that news.html. I'm going to do a Control C just because I don't want to type it. And then I'm going to go File, New. And since I was using a template before, it's going to pop it up right here. And I'm going to hit Create. And I really wish it would go straight into design mode. And so I am, before I forget, I'm going to go File, Save. And I'm going to paste in that name, so it's news.html, so I don't forget to do that. And I'm going to go put in a subtitle template news for this site. And I'm going to go news for Dreamweaver. Oh, one of the problems I've been having, I wanted to bump this up so it's easier to see. Every time I go into preferences, it's been locking up, which has been real annoying. I've locked it up 3 times. I usually do something. I thought maybe I did something different or to cause it to lock up. No, it just doesn't like me today. So I'm going to go the news on the right. And I'm going to give it an H1. I need to save it because I got the little star right there. I can go File, Save. I can hit, I don't want to hit anything yet. I want to hit live. That's what it's going to look like. And I'm happy with that. One thing I have noticed, it doesn't hurt to check to make sure that Dreamweaver updates this instead of saying file. Because every now and then, probably about 1 out of 30 or 40 times you do this, it will hiccup and it'll have file there. You don't want to do that. Also, the reason we wanted to update this is so it has the correct address. So I'm going to copy that product.html. I'm going to close it here and I'm going to go File, New, Create, come to my design. I'm going to put cool products using Dreamweaver. Product info. And once again, I'm going to do an H2. Why not? Come over here, hit return a few times, and put more product info. And this time I'll do an H1 just for grins. And I'm going to do file save, and I'm going to hit product.html. So it depends on how you want to do it. I found doing, saving it first and then coming back and saving it again can be a little tedious, but I've had better luck because I've been notorious for forgetting stuff. So there's product, and I'm going to close it. Oh, before I do that, I want to come down here, and create contact. Close it, file, new, create, design, file, save, call it. What happened there? I got kicked out. Huh, that's weird. Well, let's just do file new again then. Create, design, file, save, contact. And I'm going to be really silly and put, please call us. Call today. And once again, I can and put we love to talk to you. Save. And then I'm going to copy the last one that I'm going to create, which is going to be about. The other reason I do this is I am notorious for typos. Mildly dyslexic, so I've been known to flip letters in between here, so I know that I've got the correct name and I don't have to worry about copying the wrong piece of information. And obviously I'm doing a control C. So now I'm going to do file, new, create, file, save, control V, about, hit save. About time this is done. last page. And I'm not going to change anything else. So I'm just going to go File, Save. Now what I'm going to do is in my in my class files right here, I created all these files. So I'm going to double click on Home. And oh, I created a mortal sin. Shame on me. I need to come in and change the title, but that's easy to fix. So I'm at Home, News, Products, Content, About. So what you can do is you can spend a lot of time working on the layout to make sure it looks perfectly, and then crank out the pages just by filling in the content. Well, as luck would have it, I no longer like my site name. So what I can do is I can come back to that template, click on it right there, and I'm going to make a change. Now the key is if I make a change in here, it's not going to really ask me to update anything. But if I make a change out here, which is the standard, so in other words, I don't want my name on there, and instead of playing with CSS, I'm going to go playing with templates in Dreamweaver. Because that's really more descriptive. And then obviously if I wanted to, I want to come in here up into my title. Where's my title? Where is my... Oh, that's my CSS. No wonder. No? I don't see a title. Did it not put in a title? Oh, sacrilege. That would have cost me some good points there. Why didn't it put in a title? That's interesting. I didn't change the title, but should have put in a placeholder. So I'm going to put in title. And I'm going to call it templates for Dreamweaver. Oh, so that's a major. So I've made several changes. I know that I have. I can now fix all those at one time. I've made the changes. I'm going to do a Control S to save them. Yeah. I'm not going to worry about that right now. I'm going to click on OK. It's saying you've changed a template. Do you want to update all? Yes, I do. So I hit yes and close. Now it may not look like I've done anything. But now notice all that information's changed. And notice the titles up here's changed too. So that's why we like Dreamweaver and template. It's one of the few things that they do very well. It can also be kind of annoying because stuff gets stuck in here. Now obviously since this is a template and I don't like the fact that footer is outside of the body and I haven't figured out why that is just yet, I would have to come back and fix the template so it then becomes part of the body tag, and it will automatically fix that mistake on all my pages that are created by that template. And that's the key there. Now, one other thing I wanted to show you with Dreamweaver is, let's see. Oh, well, let's start off by going to W3 Schools and talking about Bootstrap. Bootstrap, they have the ability inside Dreamweaver creating a Bootstrap template. And that's very, very nice. And what you want to do with that Bootstrap template is you may want to modify some of the stuff. Well, we have links over here that will tell you how to do that. Talks about the grid. The main thing that I've found that's very important is going over here with the classes, because classes are what's going to handle the coloring or the lining of the content. So if you have an alert, you can change it by changing the class in here or adding a different class. And that's been one of my issues is Bootstrap is what we call a framework, and so they've already created all these classes, and what they do is they allow you to use those classes to do the alignment of the page. Now let me show you a sample of a Bootstrap page. Let's get it over here. And as a matter of fact, it's our page right here. That's Bootstrap. And how you get it to work is you bring in Bootstrap. Now notice that it says min right here. That's the smaller version. I'm going to show you the full-blown version of the Bootstrap CSS. Min just means it collapsed it down so there's not as many spaces. But what I'm doing is I'm using the essential template that it gave me and then adding the classes so I can align my page. Now why do you want to do that? Well, you want to have what we call a responsive page, so that when I bring it down like that, oops, oh, stop it. There we go. So it's now mobile friendly. It resizes itself so it works on any device. And oh man, I still need to do some work on that. Shame on me. It works good up on tablets, but once we get down to here, it just gets too squished. And so that's why it does what it does right there, which kind of looks ugly. But that's Bootstrap. Now let me go File, New, inside Dreamweaver. And instead of using the template that I've got, I'm going to come up here to New Document, and I'm going to select Bootstrap. Now it has a pre-built layout, but oh man, I find that to be harder to use than just using a essential container. And let's hit Create. Now it says I have a bootstrap.CSS. Do I want to update it? Yeah, I do. So now what I've got is I've got a blank container. Now once again, let me show you something right here. It's doing a reference and file. This is one of the things you have to check to make sure it updates, because every now and then it doesn't. I mean, it's really kind of bizarre that it doesn't. So I'm going to go File, Save, and I'm going to call it myboot.html. Now let me show you what it does. It gives you bootstrap.css minimum. It gives me some JavaScripts that are, so all these pages come together. Now let me show you the CSS, and I'm just going to go code. How Bootstrap works is it starts with an initial setting for all the pages. And then with CSS we have this media function. So I'm going to do a Control F inside Dreamweaver, and I'm going to go media. And this @media, what it does is under this condition, when we have a minimum width of 576 pixels and a max width of, oh, that, I misread that. This is going to be the condition. So when it has this width, we're going to have a container that's a little bit smaller. When I have 768 pixels, it's going to be 720. So I've got different settings for different dimensions that the browser's at. So in other words, when I have a smaller device, obviously the width is going to be a lot smaller, and so that it formats it in a different way. And remember, there's the saying about CSS, last loaded. Well, that's why we have it set the way we do. You start off with a default. Oh, come on, let's go find my next media. There we go. So it finds all those conditions and then it sets it up. This is what it's going to be like. It's going to set up a box and the dimensions here. And if you notice down here, there's 51 at medias. So these are all the different conditions that it's going to take into account, and it's going to give you a different CSS layout based on that. So it will start off with here, oh, but if max width is this, then it's going to give it that. Oh, but if the min width is this, then it's going to give you this new condition. So that's how Bootstrap does it. It goes in, finds the proper CSS, and then goes from there. Now, the sad thing about this is it doesn't like working in design mode for Bootstrap, which, oh well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go split mode. Now I'm inside the body section right here, and that's another thing you need to make sure is that you click there, because I've had times where it accidentally stuck it up here, which obviously is a big no-no. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start inserting stuff. Well, by default it's HTML, but I'm going to come down here and use Bootstrap components. You know, those beautiful carousels we can do. But first thing I want to do is I want to do some navigation. So I'm going to do a nav bar. I can click down here and do nav bar fixed to top. I kind of like that actually, the fixed to the top, because it helps you jump around. I could do one fixed to the bottom, but I'm just going to do a basic one for now. So I'm going to select that, and what it does is it puts the code up here. So in other words, by doing that little selection, I have all of this HTML code that just got inserted with those classes. And that's why I showed you the W3 schools, is because this is how you're going to want to manipulate those classes. So now I've got a link called home. Let's do split. Oh no, let's just click on navbar first. Here we go. It's up here, navbar. Well, what's up with the navbar? You probably want it to go to the home.html. So I'm actually going to end up overwriting my home. And then what you can do is you can say navbar, or you can put a logo in there or any kind of thing that you want to. I always put home for lack of creativity, or John's home. And all it is a link. So there's my new link. And then I've got another home that I can put in. I can actually go to a different page if this is a sub page. So that's really truly up to me. So I'm going to leave it like that. And for this home, once again, I'm going to go home.html. Now notice that we've got this as an LI. So the next LI I've got is going to be link. So I'm going to put about, oops, want to get lowercase, about.html. And then for the link, I'm going to put about dot, about us. Now this one I've got a drop down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just kind of act like I'm really doing it for my website. So instead of drop down, I'm going to call it classes taught. And I can click up here and it'll show me. So then another action, I'm going to put CIS 133 DA web pub. And man, I am dyslexic today. Let's try that again. Pub. I for one. And so I'm going to want to put CIS 133.html for the link. And then I can do Photoshop. Oops, but that's CIS 120 DF. So I can go CIS, oops, nope, want lowercase, 120df.html.